rising cost of play. AAA games, consoles, and GPUs surge in cost. None of those things you need to play the best games being released now. Do you need a console or a top-tier GPU to play the most hype game of the year, Silksong? Absolutely not. You're probably going to be able to play that game on a potato. You don't need AAA. You don't need peasant boxes. You don't need like top-tier GPUs. All the good stuff works on mobile nowadays. I don't need a 6,000 tier graphics cards to play Girls Frontline 2. Peasant box prices defy tradition, climbing instead of dropping. Well, I'll actually tell you why. You know what? Enough beating around the bush. I'll tell you why they're doing it. How many times in recent memory have I brought up the death spiral? That is what the consoles are in. They're not growing anymore. The console player base is shrinking. More people, particularly the younger generation, they're playing almost everything on mobile and sometimes on PC. No one plays on console anymore. Nobody cares about console. The console manufacturers have to make line go up. So they do the same thing every other company in a death spiral does. If they can't get new customers, they'll just milk their existing customers more. And that's where the death spiral actually begins. The more they milk their existing customers to make up for lack of new customers, the more of their existing customers leave, which makes them have to milk their even fewer remaining customers even harder. That's what they're doing now. They keep, and they will keep doing this, by the way. As the peasant box player base keeps shrinking, they'll keep charging more while delivering less. Cut costs and raise prices, bruh. You know, the NBA mentality, that's what they're doing. It's not going to change. Like, it doesn't matter what excuses they use. Oh, my economy, my macroeconomic circumstances, my tariffs. Doesn't matter what the excuse is. They need to keep milking their existing sheep for more money. Historically, peasant box prices have fallen over time as manufacturers prepare for the next generation of hardware. However, the current gen, Xbox Series, Piss Nickel, and Switch, has defied the trend. Instead of getting cheaper, these consoles, peasant boxes, have actually become more expensive since launch, marking an unusual break from decades of tradition. I think if you really want to know why as well, look at the PS4. The PS5 is at the end of its life cycle. It still has no games. And only recently did PS5 players finally surpass PS4 players. But it's not because the PS5 player base is growing. It's because they're both shrinking. It's just the PS4 player base shrank faster. No one is hyped for the next generation of consoles. Dude, the current gen has no games. Why would anyone buy the next gen? You got to be next level special to do something like that. For example, the flagship Xbox Series X launched at $500 in November, current year -5, but now sells for $600. The more affordable Series S originally carried a $300 price tag, yet the 512GB model now sits at $380. Want the 1TB version? Will cost you an extra $50. Sony's Piss Nickels also saw an increase, moving from $500 at launch to $550 today. Meanwhile, Nintendo raised the original Switch from $200 to $340. The Switch OLEDs goes for $400, and the Switch Lite costs $330. And I'm not going to be getting any of them. This is all hashtag not my fucking problem. How about that? It's a very easy solution. Game prices has climbed as well for about 15 years, spanning the mid-2000s until around current year -5. AAA console titles held it steady at 60. Today, 70 is the new norm. Raising development costs and market pressures push major publishers to adopt a $10 price hike across the board. Or you could get a decent game like Turret Girls for $8. It'll keep you occupied for longer than these AAA games, and it's more fun and visually more appealing. Man, these idiots are pricing themselves out of a market, man. Like it's really funny to watch. No one needs to pay $80 for AAA slop. Not when you can look. Let me use my favorite example that I always use when I'm talking about this. You could get Sleeping Dogs, one of the best games ever made, routinely at $5 or less. I think it usually sits between 10 and 20, but it's on sale almost all the time. Last time it was on sale, it was $3. And that game is way better than anything that AAA is making nowadays. No exception. So why would you spend $80 plus season passes, plus battle passes, plus DLC, plus microtransactions for current year slop when you could just get Sleeping Dogs for $3 and have way more content? The game is way more fun. Doesn't even look bad either. But whatever. I mean, I'm sure I'm not an MBA. I'm not dumb enough to understand why they think this is a good idea, but let them do it. Go ahead, let them do it. Now, this year, several publishers, including Nintendo and Microsoft, pushed towards the $80 price point, citing rising development costs and increasing game complexity. Yeah, bullshit. Meanwhile, games are losing the ability to do things now that they did 10, 20 years ago. However, after significant backlash, Microsoft reversed course and pledged to maintain current pricing for all its upcoming holiday releases. I think they saw the pre-order numbers. While some gamers and industry watchers attribute these price hikes to corporate greed, others point to new import tariffs as the primary culprit. Additionally, years of inflation have contributed to the unusual trend of aging consoles becoming more expensive today than at launch. Whatever the cause, gamers are spending significantly more on their hobby than they were just a few years ago, and many are understandably unhappy about it. The situation is even worse for PC gamers, as graphic card prices have yet to normalize after reaching astronomical highs during the pandemic. No, dude, you do not need the best fucking card. My 1080 Ti is still good enough. The price will continue climbing in the coming years remains uncertain, but gamers are hoping the worst is behind them. Not tourists, maybe. But no, it'll be fine regardless. Look, the prices either go down or the market will make them go down after enough companies go out of business. It's not hard. And let me also remind you as well, these AAA games that they want to charge $80 for still have all the same free-to-play style monetization that free-to-play mobile games have. So why would you pay? Literally just play a free-to-play gacha game. The waifus are better, the story is better, the gameplay is better, the pricing is better. Yeah, there's no need for AAA to even exist at this point.